Welcome back, everyone. I hope you are having a good weekend. Of course, San Diego Comic-Con, I believe this is the last day. Today, Sunday. Um, of course, Saturday is really the day when the biggest stuff usually drops. We have Warner Brothers panel, DC, Marvel slash kind of Disney. So, um, if you saw my video from yesterday, I discussed the Black Adam and Shazam trailers that were dropped during the Warner Brothers panel and some other stuff that happened regarding Warner Brothers, or lack of thereof, I guess you could say. But of course, we can always count on Marvel to just bring a whole list of things and upcoming projects for people to look forward to. And they have continued to do this every year, whether there is, even when there wasn't in, live action Comic-Con events, they still, did those types of things. And they're still going to have D23, which is the kind of their Disney's own con type of event. So let's look at, they announced phase 5 and 6. Like I said, there is a list of things that they announced, including films, Disney Plus series, so much stuff. So phase 5, they also dropped some beautiful Black Adam. Oh my God, sorry, my wires are all crossed. Black Panther teaser. So the Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania is starting off phase 5. Some of these things are a little bit blurry, but that's going to be, looks like February of next year. Secret Invasion is a series on Disney Plus. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Echo, another Marvel series. Loki Season 2, which I think a lot of people will be looking forward to. The first season was really good in my opinion. The Marvels, Blade, Ironheart, a series as well. Agatha, another series. Daredevil, Born Again. They're reviving, we know David Cox is returning as Daredevil. We saw him in Spider-Man No Way Home. He's also going to be in the Echo series, I believe. Captain America New World Order, and Thunderbolts. So that is spanning from the time of February 2023 until July 2024. So that is phase 5. For phase 6, we have Fantastic Four starting off phase 6 in 2024. So that's going to be obviously a huge start for phase 6 because people have been waiting a long time to see Fantastic Four kind of integrated into the MCU and, the other X-Men characters, mutants. We have Scarlet Witch. She's a mutant character. And then what they did with her brother, though, Petro, it was kind of it was annoying what they did with him in WandaVision. So hopefully they can kind of make up for that when they start bringing in the other mutant characters eventually. They did announce the X-Men animated series, so that's kind of a start. But I think with Fantastic Four, that will be a really a big transition into bringing those characters in. And then there's some gaps here. But if we move over, there's 2 Avengers movies announced for the same year. They're a few months apart. Avengers: The Kang Dynasty and Avengers: Secret Wars. One in May, one in November, both in 2025, and we see some more gaps there. So, it's just wow. Like I said, a whole list of projects. And also they showed some footage from Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania. They didn't publicly release it, but they showed it there at the event at their panel. And I saw people, describing it, people that are there kind of describing what they saw in the footage. Kang is being, kind of brought in more as we saw him in Loki season 1, right? So a lot of people have been talking about this line. Scott Lang says, "I'm an Avenger," to Kang, who chillingly responds, "I am a conqueror." And there's also a line that people have been talking about where he responds, "Have I killed you before?" So I think he's going to be a good villain. We know that now that they're introducing now that we are seeing more of the MCU multiverse, there's different versions of these characters. It's going to be a different Kang than we saw in Loki. And so I think he's going to do a good job in that role. And There's more, some more talk, some more descriptions of him. Our description of Jonathan Majors look as Kang. Kang the Conqueror appears in his classic green and purple armor, although he is not blue. A little bit more realistic take on the character, like, how he looks. And I think a lot of, even though there's been a lot of talk just in general about how much stuff they announced, I mean, two Avengers movies in 1 year, which we got that. Well, no, never mind. Infinity War and Endgame were a year apart, and they were kind of two parts of one of a whole. This account, Marvel Updates, said another 8 projects will be announced at D23. So, I mean, I'm not surprised if that's the case, because again, on Phase 6 here, we saw there are some gaps in the timeline of releases. So possibly some other, some more series or season 2 announcements for series that we had this year and last year on Disney Plus. But I mean, like, the difference in, not that it was surprising, like we knew that the confirmed things for the Warner Brothers theatrical panel, was Black Adam and Shazam. But you kind of hope, like, even we all knew that Henry Cavill, that whole thing, there's obviously a chance that that wasn't going to happen, because it was not a confirmed thing. It was a leak that turned out not to be true. It's not completely surprising, because they're still in the midst of a transition. And I know it felt more hopeful this time. Oh, and let me not forget, Black Panther Wakanda Forever comes out in November of this year. This is the end of Phase 4. So it's not really a surprise that didn't happen at the DC panel, because, again, they're in the midst of a transition. They're changing leadership. Here, let me go back up to here, what Dwayne Johnson said about, when asked about Superman. He said he's the Superman. Henry Cavill's the Superman of our generation. He goes on to say that, like, him and Danny Garcia, they're pulling really hard for Henry Cavill. And with respect to all the other Supermen that we've had in the past, he is our Superman. And, he's talked about they both want this to happen. What I gathered from this is that they're really trying. Like, they are trying to make it happen. And, I can only think that Henry Cavill probably just feels like he's not getting he's probably asking for more than what they're willing to give him, or what they were willing to give him in the past prior to the merger, which I can't really blame him after everything that has happened. Hopefully they can come to an agreement at some point and just make it happen. But back to Marvel, again, they did release a beautiful official teaser for I keep saying Black Adam, Black Panther Wakanda Forever. I'm not going to play it because I did watch it already. I didn't do a reaction. I watched it last night when it came out. But it really is a great teaser, and we'll take a look at some stills captured from the trailer. If you can, watch it, because it's great for a first teaser. Like, some teasers, like especially the first ones that you get, they can be a little bland. This one was really good. They pretty much established, that T'Challa is dead. And so now, there has to be a new Black Panther to take over, which we're all assuming is Shuri, right? They show we know that Namor is going to be in this film. So we get a look at, like, their version. This is their Atlantis character, right? Namor. So we get, a look at them, and this, this kind of these new characters being brought in, this new world being introduced to the MCU. So I think it's going to be great, even though I know it's going to be bittersweet, because we're not going to have Chadwick Boseman as T'Challa / Black Panther. So it is going to be bittersweet. There's a look at their I call them Atlantean characters, because I believe it's still called Atlantis in Marvel, right? But that version, that kind of that underwater world in the Marvel universe, and some shots at, look at Namor. I wish that DC could just embrace what they have the way Marvel has. And that's really, I think, what sets them apart so much, is that Marvel they continue to give fans and audiences things to look forward to. They continue to set up a future, and you know, they stay the course. They really do. They mentioned in a clip that I saw from the beginning of their panel that in 2019 they announced Phase 4, and pretty much everything that was on that slate came to fruition. And I just wish that DC could do that. Like, I wish that's what they could have done. When they started their um, universe, their live action universe, they had a whole. Remember the slate that we had? It had such great potential and outlook. You know what I mean? Like, there was such a positive outlook for their future, and they did not stay the course. Even Marvel, when their movies don't, like, for example, Iron Man 2 and 3 are not the greatest sequels, especially for the first Iron Man movie, which is great and will always be one of their best movies in my opinion. They're not terrible, but they're definitely not as good as the first one. You know, did they just give up on Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man? No, he's like in every one of their movies up until Endgame. Not everyone, but a lot of them. You know what I mean? And even the ones he's not in, Tony Stark still plays a major role, even if he's not there physically. He's still a major component of the Marvel universe. Even now, we see Stark and all these things. You know what I mean? They didn't give up on Thor or just cast Chris Hemsworth aside just because his first two movies kind of had a different tone from what they had established before that. They didn't just, were like, oh, people didn't respond as great to your movie, so we're just going to cast you to the side, and we don't know what we're going to do with you, but we know you're one of our main Avengers characters, but we're just going to kind of put you over here. We don't know what we're going to do with you, and just like, we're just going to pretend that you're not around, and we'll figure it out later. They didn't do that. Yeah, they took a totally different approach with Ragnarok and now with Love and Thunder, but and I personally prefer his first two movies, but they did not do that. They stayed the course, and that's one of the main reasons why they're so successful, in my opinion. I just, like I was saying, I really wish Warner Brothers could just embrace what they have with DC instead of trying to just instead of being like, you know what, okay, we tried it this way and it didn't work, so we're just going to panic and we're going to try to copy Marvel, and that didn't work either. That was actually that was definitely the worst thing that they could have done. And instead of just being like, okay, you know what, we tried that way and people thought that's what they wanted, it didn't work out, so we're just going to go back to what we originally started, and we're just going to keep pushing forward. But I think, again, that's why Marvel continues to dominate in this space, because I mean, yeah, they definitely choose quality over quantity sometimes, a lot of the time, but they don't just but they keep going. They keep doing what they're good at. Yes, I know sometimes they don't care about their CGI, and they kind of have this form. A lot of people always refer to the Marvel formula, but again, they're going to continue to dominate because every time there's some kind of thing, event, con, whatever, they just dominate the whole 3 day, whatever, how many days it is. Look what they come with. Look what they show up. They show up. DC did that a few years. They did that, when they announced BBS and all of that kind of stuff. They'll never have that impact again unless they choose to bring back Superman. I'm sorry, that's the only thing that is going to have the same kind of impact that the BVS announcement had. And then what's interesting about it is that when they announced that, Marvel was like, okay, you know what? We're not going to do Serpent Society. We're going to do Civil War. So DC should have looked at that and said, wow, Marvel's well established. This is only our, second movie in our universe. Second. That's pretty interesting that, we announced a movie and Marvel, who's already well established, chose to change what they're doing to compete with us. They kind of set that tone. But no, instead, they're just like, we need to do what Marvel's doing and just embrace what you have, like Marvel does. Not all of their shows, not all of their movies are for everybody. Not all of them are, like epic and grand proportions, which is what DC started off with. you know, Marvel continues to do what they do. And they just, I mean, they're announcing stuff for the next couple of years, and like that tweet said, probably again at D23, they're going to have more stuff to announce. I mean, when they were announcing these things, there were several of them that were already in production and filming right now. So they stay the course, and that's why they're always going to be good at what they do. And, hopefully now that Warner Brothers Discovery is transitioning, take some notes. I'm not saying, like, don't be Marvel. Don't try to be Marvel. Do you, but, like, just stick to what you have. Embrace what you have. That's what Marvel has done. And that's why it's working for them. Because they're not trying to be something else. And DC doesn't have to they don't need to try to be Marvel or Disney or anybody else. They need to be DC and embrace what they have. And, I will always give Marvel props for giving their fans a future to always look forward to. You know what I mean? Sure, not everything on the list is going to be for everybody, but guess what? Fans are still going to watch it. And they're still going to look forward to the next thing coming out. And they're still going to look forward to these new characters, what new characters are being introduced. And what new parts of their, Phase 6, I believe, is going to be called the Megaverse. Or the Multiverse Saga. I'm sorry, Multiverse Saga, I believe. So they're going to continue to give people things to look forward to. And, just wanted to share that because I think it's just like, wow. I know people always like, why do we got to compare Marvel and DC? Because of this, stuff like this. That's why. Because Warner Brothers shows up with two things that we already know are coming out this year. We've seen plenty of things about Black Adam and trailers and teasers and all that. Granted, the one yesterday was much better, in my opinion, than what we'd seen before. And the Shazam trailer was actually better than I, expected. But we already know about those things that are coming out in this year. You're not going to give people anything else to look forward to that maybe we didn't know about, or maybe, come on. They have movies coming out next year. They didn't say one thing about those things. It's going to continue to happen unless and until the new leadership is like, we're going to step up our game. And we're going to put ourselves on the map, and we're going to embrace what we have. And we're not going to try to be something that we're not. But again, I'm going to stop rambling. Check out any videos you may have missed recently. And thank you for the support on the channel. There are links in the description. And don't forget to leave a thumbs up and subscribe. And I'll see you guys soon.